Welcome back, everybody, to the Blazer Victory Podcast, episode number 81. And guys, we finally have the real UAB football schedule. So Steve and I wanted to just hop on real quick and just give you guys kind of a instant reaction. Well, not instant reaction, but a reaction to the new 2.0 football schedule for 2022. And Steve, real quick, I mean, we don't have to talk about this part of it a whole bunch, but it looks like Conference USA and those three Sun Belt schools worked it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was coming. I mean, it was
Yeah,
one of those things that I've said it before. I like that Conference USA did that, and I didn't think it was going to be much come out of it, but
right.
I like that they stood up there, and I don't know what I don't know if that increased the money the schools had to pay or not because they're not releasing it, but at least at this point, I mean that's public record. It should be so.
Right.
Somebody's going to get that, and we'll find out. But yeah, I mean, it was not surprising, but again, I'm just glad that Conference USA stood up and good for those schools. That's what they felt like was best for their program to go ahead and get out of here and get in the Sun Belt and you know we'd be wanting to do the same thing, as UAB folks if we could. So
Right.
I understand it, but now we just move on.
Definitely. Well, let's go ahead and dive into this football schedule that was just released by UAB. And the good thing, Steve, we still do have 6 home games. So I know that was,
Yeah.
some fans were concerned about, well, two of those games or two of those teams leaving early for the Sun Belt. They were supposed to be home game opponents for UAB. But Conference USA was gracious, I guess. And, UAB still has 6 home games. And well, we can go ahead and just dive into the games. Now, we already knew starting out for the season, September 1st on a Thursday night, Alabama A&M comes to Protective Stadium. And man, Steve, I can't wait for that. I'm sure it's going to be a big crowd because Alabama A&M, they travel well. They'll bring their band. They'll bring everybody to Protective, and I'm sure UAB will turn out well. A great crowd as always. So I definitely look forward to that game and to see how the atmosphere is going to be that night in Protective.
Yeah, and it's a good team. I mean,
Yeah.
A&M's their program's going well right now, and so it'll be a challenge. It'll certainly be a challenge, but yeah, just to see that atmosphere there and get to hear that Alabama A&M band and see their fans and along with the UAB fans because there's going to be a lot of excitement going into the season for I think both programs and so yeah I'm looking forward to that night. I wish it was wish it was here now, but we got to have to wait a little bit.
Definitely. Now, the next week, UAB will play September 10th at Liberty in Lynchburg, Virginia. Hopefully, UAB can get some revenge on those Liberty Flames down in Lynchburg. But excited for that non-conference matchup on the road, and it'll be exciting too to see Liberty without Malik Willis because that's pretty much all we remember from this last matchup in
Yeah,
Birmingham.
but they're gonna have he'll have a couple quarterbacks or a quarterback or two. They've
Oh
got some
yeah,
transfers in. They had a kid transfer last year from Tennessee, and then they had another one come in this year. I don't remember where he came. I don't remember where the transfer this year is, but he's going to have. They're going to be good. I mean, this is going to be a good team. Yeah, I'm so glad that don't have to see people trying to tackle Malik Willis and stop him from throwing the ball, but they'll be good. That'll be a challenge.
yeah, definitely with Hugh Freeze, expect another challenge this year. But it'll be so glad because I'm so tired of watching all this NFL draft stuff, and I swear all of Malik Willis's film that they show on the NFL Network and everywhere is just that game against us. So
That can't surprise you though.
no, hey,
He had a night that night. Now it was it was fun to watch if you don't have a rooting interest. I mean it was he was entertaining that night, and he's an entertaining player.
definitely. Well, the following week, week 3, September 17th, Georgia Southern from the Sun Belt will make their way down to Birmingham to Protective Stadium to take on UAB. I believe, Steve, this is the first time UAB's ever played Georgia Southern.
It is. Yep, it
So,
is.
and this is, a part of a home and home. So we'll go to Statesboro next year. So excited to see that, and it's going to be a different Georgia Southern team. With Clay Helton coming from USC to Georgia Southern. I've heard that they're going away from the triple option because that team or that program has been historically kind of like a triple option type team, type offense. But I did hear that they're going to start to move away from that this year. So it'll be exciting to, see a Sun Belt team take on a future AAC team, in Birmingham. So looking
Yeah,
forward to that non-conference matchup.
yeah. Brian Ellis is offensive coordinator, and and now remember they have tried to go away from that triple option before.
Didn't go well.
Those people were pretty hesitant there. So if you do go away from it, you better have quick success with it. Really, really early success and a lot of success. And I think they will. I mean, obviously Clay Helton's an offensive-minded guy, and Brian Ellis, I just have a lot of respect for him. He's I still think he's going to be a star, a coaching star, and so they're going to be good. They're going to be good offensively, but again, they those people love that option, and so you better have success quick.
Definitely. Now, this year compared to last year, we get an early bye week, so I kind of like that. So September
No,
20, I kind of like. I mean, last year we got it at the
no.
end of October, and look where this bye week falls. So yeah, your first thought is like, oh, why is it so early? That kind of stinks. But you get it right before you start conference play. So, as I mentioned, Georgia Southern September 17th, bye week September 24th, and then you start conference play at Rice October the 1st. So I actually like the bye week where it is, Steve. I know you're already disagreeing with me, but I like where it
Yeah.
is because Georgia Southern's a very physical team, and Rice, they're going to be very physical with the run game too. So I actually like it where it is.
Okay, so you like going into UTSA game that you're going to have 5 straight weeks of playing going into that game?
Well, we'll get into that later, but you
Yeah, I
can't have
mean,
it too late though.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I agree. You can't have it too late. But I think it's in my estimation maybe a little early. I would like to have it. Ideal world. I'd like to have it after maybe a couple conference games. Maybe go play. Uh, maybe after the Rice game. Because you would have played the 24th if you had it after the Rice game. So maybe after the
Yeah.
October 1st game. I mean, but who knows? I mean, it might end up being a good thing. It might come after that Georgia Southern, like you say, the physical team. You might leave that game and go, man, thank goodness we have a week off to get ready for conference. So, I mean, it's hard to say because you don't know how a season is going to unfold.
Yeah.
I just think I just hate it. On paper, looking at it right now, I feel like it might be a little early. But who knows? I mean, and I do wish we could go back to a system where there's 2 bye weeks. I
Yeah, me
think
too.
that's good for these athletes. I mean, I think 2 bye weeks is to me is not too much to ask for. Now I'm not a schedule maker, and but I would love to see a way to get college football where every team gets 2 bye weeks, an early bye week and a later bye week. I would like to see that happen where everybody gets that, but it's not reality right now. So you just have to play with the hand that's dealt you.
That's right. Yeah, it just makes 2 cents for it to happen, right? Too much sense.
Yeah, it does. It does make to me it does. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know the challenges of fitting in. Other than just looking from the outside, the challenges of fitting a season into the calendar. So maybe it is too tough to do that to fit. When you're playing 12 games and more. With the championship games and that type of stuff. So. Well, we'll see how it works out. Again, you just never know. I mean, you just
Right.
never know when you're going to get beat up. And the thing is, and I hadn't had a chance to really study the other schedules, but I would imagine most teams, have their bye fairly early. In this conference, the way it's set up. I don't know. I'd have to look, but um, I don't know that one team's going to have more advantage than the other.
Hmm.
I would like to see, and I will eventually look at it um, who has a bye before they play. What conference team has a bye before they play UAB? if they're, that's to me is the biggest, the biggest factor of your buy, where your buy is. Like if you have, like I mentioned the UTSA game. I mean, if they come in with a buy the week before, or even
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks before, that's an advantage. So just I have to look closer at those things. But till it unfolds, you really don't know what's going to happen. So it's easy to complain about it, but you just never know.
Right. And real quick, not to go off on a tangent, but I did notice from the CUSA schedule release that they're actually going to have some teams playing in week 0 this year.
Yeah,
Charlotte, FAU, North Texas, UTEP. Those are 2 conference games, in week 0. And I get why they did that. I mean, they had to do that to make the schedule work for
right.
everybody to where people didn't have to move around non-conference games and stuff like that. So I get why they did it, but I'm kind of looking forward to that, seeing some CUSA action on week 0.
Yeah, I am too. Even though I've always disliked having to, teams having to open the year with a conference game. I just
Yeah.
not a fan of that. I do know that at times you have to do it to fit into your schedule fit into non-conference games, and like in this case, obviously had to do it because of the craziness of what's going on. But
Right.
I've never been a fan of that. It's just to me, I want to play it, at least 1 or 2 non-conference games before I get a conference game in. But sometimes you just have to do weird things, and that's what's going on now.
Definitely. Well, moving along with the schedule, as we mentioned, October 1st, after the bye week, UAB will travel to Houston to take on Rice and try to get some revenge on those Mike Bloomgren Rice Owls in Houston. The following week starts a 2-game home stretch where Middle Tennessee will come to Protective Stadium on October the 8th. And then October the 15th, Charlotte will come to Protective Stadium. And I believe that we haven't played Middle Tennessee since the CUSA Championship game back in 2018.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, I don't know if we played them since 2018. No, 2019, I think we played them at Legion Field. I'm pretty sure. But both of those, that's within traveling distance. So you would think they'd bring a decent, travel to Protective Stadium. So,
Yeah, and I think both programs are on the upward swing. I think
yeah.
both programs have taken steps forward, and so that becomes tougher. I think the 3 teams that you replace the 3 teams leaving with, I think it's a tougher schedule for UAB than it was with the Marshall and Southern Miss and Old Dominion. Overall, of course, Old Dominion wasn't on the schedule, but
Well, taking UTEP off, yeah, no, I
taking
agree.
UTEP off, yeah. So
Yeah.
replacing Western Kentucky with UTEP,
Mm-hmm.
I think I think it's tougher, and on a lot because of where Middle Tennessee and Charlotte and Western Kentucky, all of them are on an upward swing. Obviously Western coming off the championship game appearance, but Charlotte with I think Will Healy is one of the top young coaches in college football. I mean, I think he's very good, I think, and
Right.
he's got that program playing well, and Stockstill, Rick Stockstill there, you thought he was done, I mean,
Right.
and they took a nice step forward last year, and so I think they're going to be good, so it got a little tougher in my opinion. It got a little tougher.
Yeah, definitely agree. Middle coming off of a big bowl win in the Bahamas this past year with Stockstill. So definitely, and I believe I misspoke too. It was 2018 that UAB also last played Charlotte at Legion Field. Well, let's go ahead and go into this. Now, this is where, I'm not saying those games before were easy by no means, but here's where it starts to get really tricky, in my opinion. You start a 2-game road trip, October 22nd at Bowling Green, Kentucky, to take on Western Kentucky. That's going to be tough. Then you follow that up the next week, October 29th. You have to go to Boca to take on FAU. Like that's gonna be tough, man. I kind of wish it would have been a home away to balance it out. But those 2 games. Western Kentucky, of course, their offense is going to be a lot different than it was last year. But they're still going to be a tough team, and FAU, we know what they're capable of.
Well, and Western Kentucky, yeah, it will be different, no doubt. But they've got another transfer quarterback in,
Oh,
Austin Reed from West Florida, who was I don't know if he won the player. He led his team to the national championship last year in Division Two. I
mm-hmm.
believe it was last year. They were national champions either last year or year before, but I believe it was last year. But I think he was either their division player of the year, or certainly was a finalist for it. I mean, he's thrown for a lot of yards. I mean, he's another really talented guy that he went in the portal, and I think he had over 25, 30 schools
Good
knocking his
grief.
door down. I mean, it was one of that type of talent. And now he doesn't. He didn't bring his whole receiver core and his offensive
Oh, I was
coordinator
gonna
with it,
say.
and his offense. They didn't do that, but I think I mean, I think he has a chance to, certainly. I don't think he'll be as good as
Zappy.
Zappy was last year, but he's certainly not far behind. So they're going to be. I think they're going to be dynamic again offensively. Yeah, provided they get, provided he comes in and is comfortable and they
Right.
get receivers and that type of thing. So I think that's going to be a tough battle. And like you say, FAU's, I mean, that's tough. They have a lot of talent there, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's a tough little stretch. And then you're getting ready to tell us the next one, and then the next one's
Golly.
UTSA. So
Right.
you're coming off that stretch of those two, and then oh, by the way, you got now you got UTSA coming to town. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's difficult, and I do think with this UAB team, they're even though they're experienced and older and that type of thing, but they're not as experienced and old as they were last year. I don't think.
No, they're not. Yeah.
Certainly had lost a lot of guys, and um, they're still a mature team, but that's a tough stretch there, and that's what I was talking about. That's kind of what I'm talking about the bye week thing is,
Mm-hmm.
you go through that stretch there, and then how healthy are you going into to these games? And you might be really healthy. I mean, it's it's just freak things happen, and so you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
look at TD Marshall last year. I mean,
Yeah.
he got hurt because he stepped wrong, and that,
Mm-hmm.
that had nothing to do with what was going on, physical wise. I mean, so if a freak thing happens like that, I mean, there's not much you can do about it. But but there's a wear and tear on this, and so we'll see. We'll see how they come out, but that's certainly a tough stretch, and it's a stretch that you really look forward to
Oh yeah.
because those are the kind of games you love, but it's still a tough stretch.
Yeah, it's tough. And as Steve just mentioned, yeah, November the 5th, UTSA comes to Protective Stadium. That's going to be an exciting atmosphere for that game. And then the very next week, UAB hosts North Texas. So UAB gets two really good opponents after coming off that tough road stretch at WKU and FAU. And then two more games to end the season, both traveling down to Louisiana as UAB travels to Baton Rouge to take on the LSU Tigers November the 19th, and then ending the year in Ruston, Louisiana,
Uh,
November 26th at
uh,
Louisiana Tech. Yeah, one more time, right? Hopefully.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hopefully, only one more time. Yeah, and who knows where? I think Louisiana Tech. Obviously, I like the hire they made. We'll see what's going on, at that time. But I think they've helped themselves a little bit in the portal type world, and so that's tough. I mean, it's tough. This last, well, I mean, I don't know where you start with. I mean, really from
Really, last six, you say, right? Really, the back half, I
really,
guess.
yeah, really the back half is really really tough, and um, but again, I mean, and one thing is that you kind of look at is you obviously you have the aspirations to move up as a program into
Mm,
the American.
right.
So this is the kind of thing that you hope to see every year. These are the type, the challenges. You hope to see these kind of challenges. So, if you sit there and go, well, this schedule, you just complain about the schedule being tough. What's going to get tougher as you move up. so
Exactly.
so this is a
Exactly.
kind of good little good little training for it. And last year was too. And that's the thing that I think will help this year. The grind of last year, uh, that was a tough season, for a lot of reasons. One, it was a tougher schedule. There was some things, just tough times, kind of like you have in this schedule. But there's also some other things that happen, whether it be injuries or COVID
Hmm.
or just some things that happen. So I think last year's experience is going to really help with this year's team because last year's experience, you never really you really as a program hadn't had that really those type of challenges. I mean, it's kind of weird to say, but you really had.
No, yeah,
Um,
I agree.
so in this case, you have the experience to fall back on last year. Okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? How do
Hmm.
we handle this? How do we not handle? How do we not handle this well? I mean, you just I think that's really going to help this program, this team go through the schedule that they have this year.
Definitely agree. And, Conference USA still hasn't said officially what they're going to do in regards to a championship game. But we know there's 11 teams. So,
We'll probably find out week 12.
yeah,
Oh,
we'll
by
get
the
an
way,
email.
we're
Yep.
gonna have a championship game. And
Oh, Lord.
I mean I think I think you'll just see top two teams. They won't
Yeah.
don't do the divisions, and I think I hope we hear about it sooner than week 12, but you never know. But yeah, and that could get a tough little tiebreaker. Yeah, that could be tough to figure out.
Hmm.
No, it might not. It might be clear as day, but it could be a little tougher than the just pure divisions were. That's for sure.
Right. Well, when we find out, we will let you guys know. Hey, real quick before we get out, Steve, do we have any spring football updates? Have you heard anything? Because I haven't heard a thing.
No, it's been real quiet. Now, I hadn't had a chance to get out just for some things, so I hadn't
Hmm.
against but it's been real quiet. Which I think that's the way Coach Clark he likes that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
he likes quiet. Now, thing that I mean, I've heard two or three different places and times that Zeno's a real deal. That he's a really
Yeah.
really good quarterback. I don't know what their depth chart looks like right there, but I've heard he can spin it now. Um,
Hmm.
and Joker Gill, who was a guy that was really counted on to be kind of an edge guy. Well, I mean, he was, they thought he could be an edge guy, or maybe even inside. It was a guy that they were really excited about. He tweeted that he had surgery. I think it was something to do with it was lower body. I don't know if it was a knee or what,
Mm.
but he had some surgery. So I don't know what his situation is. Um, other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the spring, and I hope to get out and see a practice and see it myself, but I just hadn't had a chance. But
Right.
if not, spring game will be really eye opening for all of us, and obviously you don't see a lot during spring game. It's pretty basic, but
Right.
you can see guys. You'll be able to see guys. You'll be able to see Boykin. What kind of receiver he is. Provided
Hmm.
these guys are healthy. You'll be able to see some of the linebackers. I'm looking forward to seeing what a guy like Raynard Ellis. I'm looking forward to see what he can do. Looking forward to seeing what some of these guys that have been injured are, what they're doing right now, whether they're back and how healthy they are. Just even a guy like Damon Miller, who obviously we know how talented he is, but he missed a lot of last year with injury, and then when he came back, he was behind a little bit and didn't play as much. So seeing where he is in the orders. I mean, so it's going to be nice to see that, but right now it's just real quiet, and
Yeah.
so Oh, and by the way, as we're talking,
Oh.
this is real good news. I'm looking at the UTSA schedule. October 29th, which is the week before they play
Please
UAB.
don't say it's a bye. Please
They're going to be home and resting,
Oh.
and they get a bye week before they come to UAB. So as we're saying, as we're talking about the other, I just kind of look down there to see that good news. So
Well, great.
that's wonderful. But hey, you still got to go out and play them, and that stinks. But good for them.
Hey, right. Well, all right, guys. Well, if we hear anything, in regards to, like a spring update from practice or something, we'll be back with you. But if not, we look forward to seeing everybody at the spring game. That's next Saturday, April the 9th. Not this Saturday, next Saturday, April the 9th. And it will be at 1:00. And you can make sure and get your tickets. I think it's only like $5. But I'm excited to just get out to Protective and see a spring game and just see some football and just see how the guys look on the field. A lot of new faces on this team, a lot of returning guys, as Steve mentioned before, like Damon Miller. Just can't wait to see everybody out there. But we'll see you next time on the Blazer Victory podcast. Make sure, if you're not subscribed, to go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. But as always, guys, go Blazers.